Hey, welcome to Doctor's Homestead. My name's Daniel. I want to talk about surviving financial collapse, surviving social collapse, right? For that, I'm going to kind of tie together two books. You got The Patriots, James Wesley Rawls, and you got Prepper's Financial Guide, Jim Cobb. Both excellent books. One fantasy, one more reality, but I think we'll tie the two together and kind of try to cover the entire spectrum of what is financial collapse. They have happened, right? They have happened many times throughout American history. I'm going to read through a story, the Prepper's Financial Guide. He's got multiple stories laid out on financial collapse, so they certainly do happen. They maybe do not happen to the extent covered in the book Patriots, which is a financial collapse that leads to societal collapse. But you can't say, right? You can't say the likelihood of something like that happen, and if it were to happen, maybe the Patriots book is a good place to start in terms of how you would prepare. So let's jump into it. We're going to talk a little bit about the Great Depression, United States, 1929 to 1940, and I'm reading from the James Cobb Prepper Financial Guide. Even today, experts disagree on what exactly caused the Great Depression. Many people, when they give it any thought at all, tend to believe the stock market crash of 1929 is synonymous with the Great Depression. However, the crash was merely one of several factors involved, right? So there was a lot going on, a lot going wrong at the same time, which led our country into the Great Depression, 1929, stock market crash. So during World War I, American farmers were rather prosperous due to the way their produce was bought in a good income. Many of them borrowed from banks so as to increase their land as well as purchase better equipment, all in an attempt to produce even more crops. But once the war was over, prices on farm crops fell, and many of the same farmers found themselves struggling to make the loan payments. As a result, banks ended up losing money on the loans, even though they could, in many cases did, foreclose on the farms. They didn't recoup their losses. So you had American farmers overextended because of World War I. They were making all this money, and that sort of stopped. And at the same time, now the banks own all this land that wasn't worth anything, and we see that now with bank losses stacking up. One factor. So the next factor, during the 1920s, the stock market did extremely well, and many people made quite a bit of money with trading. However, a lot of the stock purchases were on margin, meaning the purchaser only paid a portion of the actual price, with the balance paid when the stock was sold again. Not a bad system as long as everything is going well. Buy 100 shares of XYZ Widgets Limited at $10 a share, but only actually pay half of the cost. Then when I sell my shares to someone at $30 a share, the other 500 I owed is taken from the profit. So that was a thing, right? Investing on margin. There's always funky stuff going on with investing, and it was happening frequently enough. And then when it crashed, left a lot of people without money. So bank failures. This was before deposits were insured. So when the banks went belly up, all the money people had entrusted in the bank disappeared forever. So as banks were failing, as people were making bad investment decisions driven by a prosperous economy that turned not so prosperous, all that money just sort of disappears. And at the time, banks were not insured. Now they are insured to a point. So the idea of a bank failing and your money is just gone isn't so much a reality now. However, if your bank failed, it might be difficult to get your money out. But we've seen that recently, and the government has done a lot to prevent bank runs, panics on the banks. And I'm certainly not encouraging anyone to pull your own money out of the bank. I'm just talking about the Great Depression and trying to relate it to modern days. There was also a big drought in the 1930s, massive intermediate drought throughout America's Great Plains during the 1930s. Well, drought isn't something that can really be predicted, let alone combated. It's worth noting just how much mankind actually contributed to the repercussions. So there were a lot of farming, a lot of expanded farming. There was unusually wet weather for years that pushed more people to harm. More growing their farms, building their farms, and then you hit a drought. You hit a massive drought, Dust Bowl. The drought settled over the region, affecting crops, drying out the soil. As anyone who's lived and traveled through the area could tell you, the wind's quite powerful. It sort of dried up, right? And all these farmers went broke, lost their money, right? And that then rolls back through the economy, rolls back through the banks. So during the early years of the Great Depression, families that still had an income saw it drop around 40%. Think about that. Could your family readily handle losing almost half of its income? Somewhere upward to 10,000 banks failed during the same time frame. Or if the bank suddenly went belly up, taking your money with it. Once again, deposits were not insured at the time, so you had this domino effect that led to the Great Depression. Maybe it was one thing, maybe it was many things. It was the prosperity seen during World War I that just all of a sudden ended. It was farmers building huge farms in areas that had a lot of great weather, drought hits, all those farms are worthless now. All of that fed back in, stock market crash, banks crash, money disappearing. So it happened. There was a led to the Great Depression. Now, that didn't necessarily lead to the level, once again, of societal collapse that you see in the Patriots book, but it did happen, it does happen, right? We saw the same thing in Argentina, 1998 to 2002. You had the Great Recession in the United States, 2007, 2009. And then when I looked at the book before, we talked about what would an economic collapse look like today. So it's certainly something that has happened, can happen, will happen again, may be happening now. Depends on what you talk to. So what do you do? What do you do, right? What do you do to prepare for financial collapse? Certainly you need your food. You need your water, right? Those are the basic elements you need for life: food, water, shelter. If you look at certainly the Patriots, talk about what they did. So the Patriots follows a small group that were preppers. They were preppers before the collapse. They had set up sort of a bug out location in Idaho, and the book really sells Idaho as the place to go, apparently at least at the time. A lot of advantages if you're a survivalist, if you're an off-grid survivalist to Idaho. Sells Idaho pretty hard. They have a retreat. They have a retreat set up. They built a bug-out location, group of people, 8-10 people got together, had a fully stocked bug-out location, and as the book starts and as they're going into it, you start seeing that financial collapse and its impact on the cities. Right, people are trying to bug out. People are trying to get to Idaho. Some people lived further away than others, and then it tracks through their adventures of. There's a period of time after the collapse, after the bug out, where there's total chaos. Not a good idea to be in the city, right? And it does track the story of a few people that were in the city. They waited too long to bug out. Everything collapsed. There was no police, no order, and they struggled. They struggled quite a bit to get out safely, get out of the city, get their stuff out of the city, because they all did take stuff with them, even though they had stuff preloaded at the bug out location. But if you look at Patriots, if you follow that, even though it's a fictional story, you want to gain wisdom from it. The idea being is if you see financial collapse coming, big city may not be the place to be, and I think a lot of people are talking about that now. You see the crime rates in the big cities. You see a lot of problems in the big cities, so certainly something we did, when we told our story. We just did a video recently telling our story, how we got out. We got out of Chicago, we got out of the big city, we're out here in the country, and we love it. We're loving life. And I keep looking that way because the window's open, and I can see my pigs, I can see the backyard. Makes me happy. Makes me happy to be out here. We love being out here. But if you're concerned, right, certainly of the impact of some kind of a financial collapse, if that's coming, being in the big city is probably not the best place to be. So once again, tracking the story of the Patriots is they bugged out. They bugged out to their remote location, right, and certainly not bad if you can have somewhere to go, right, have a place to go, whether it's friends you can go stay with, whether you have a group and you guys set up a location, a cabin, whatever it is, RV on an acre of land, whatever you've got, whatever you can get. I understand all that's expensive, just living's expensive now, so certainly may not be obtainable for a lot of people, but maybe networking. There's decisions that have to be made if you choose to make them. But in the book, the Patriots, once again, they're out in their bug out location. There's sort of a long period, you could say the calm before the storm, but after the collapse and getting through the collapse, there's a period of time that goes by before things start to come back together. as they come back together, people start bartering, right? And then we talked about Prepper's Financial Guide on bartering and the idea of having a stockpile of stuff to barter and whether that has value, whether it's silver coins, gold coins, whatever it is, whatever you're bartering. We did a video on bartering. But society starts to come back together. People start bartering, right? And that leads, of course, just to keep the book fun, not giving too much away. Foreign nations come in. I think it's the UN comes in and tries to reestablish government, right? And that doesn't go well, and people fight back against that, and that's basically that story. But you've kind of got two sides, right? You got real story where Great Depression, Great Recession, financial collapses do happen. Once again, I think people are thinking we may be coming into them. And what do? As I said, food's good. Certainly food and water's good. Will that get you through another depression? Well, it's important. It'll certainly get you through the day. It'll get you through the week. You got to have food and water, but there's a lot more to it than that, right? In terms of financial preparation, are you paying down your debt? Do you have a ton of debt? Let's get into the book. Great Depression, people lost 40% of their income. Can you still pay your bills? Living within your means, increasing your means. I mean, that's all good to do now and anytime as much as you can. You want to live within your means. You want to be prepared. Can you go full patriots? Will everything ever get to the point where financial collapse leads to societal collapse? I don't know, right? I'm just tying two books together. Right, the real stories, the fantasy stories, certainly in Patriots. It went pretty well for them, getting out of town, getting out of Dodge, having something set up, right, having a group set up, having a place to go, pre-stocked, everyone that was set, part of the group, you had to put a certain amount of food there, a certain amount of supplies there, and everything was there. Everything was there for them, so it's certainly something to think about, right? So we go from fantasy to reality, and then we're trying to go back. Right, we went from reality to fantasy, trying to come back to reality. Will that ever happen? We don't know, right? You certainly don't know. We do know that these things happen. Does it mean it's going to lead to societal collapse where you got to bug out to a cabin, live off your stored beans or whatever it is? Maybe not, right? We don't know that. But as a prepper, as someone that wants to be prepared, if you want to be prepared, it is something to think about. What's your plan? Where are you going to go? If you're in a city, can you get out? Like, is that even an option for you, or would you have a place to go if something happened? So something to think about. So as always, hope that helps out. Thank you for watching, and we appreciate you.